What happens when desire becomes a key to crossing the threshold of the divine? In this episode of Shadows and Secrets, we delve into the darkest and most fascinating recesses of mystical sexuality, where eros and spirit intertwine in a single subtle current. For centuries, in many esoteric traditions, sexual energy has been considered a sacrament, a secret path to achieving union with the transcendent. In this first part, we will explore how these ideas manifest in the magical system of Thelema, a philosophy that celebrates will as the supreme force of the universe. Different cultures, from Indian Tantra to Chinese Taoism, have developed refined practices in which the body becomes a temple and ecstasy a sacred rite. But Thelema reworks all this through powerful symbolism, offering operational keys to transform the most human act into a ladder to infinity. Within the Thelemic context, sexuality is not a taboo to be repressed, nor a mere pleasure to be consumed. It is a sacred language, an operational formula that can be directed with precision towards spiritual goals. Among its most recurrent symbols, we find the spear and the cup, universal archetypes of the generative force and its reception, central elements also in the ritual celebration. Sexual energy, channeled through intention and awareness, becomes a tool for shaping reality. This vision is not exclusive. It is found in esoteric liturgies, in the rites of antiquity, in the mysteries of initiatory schools. Thelema incorporates it, but with a surprising radicality. The magician is called to fully embody his body without guilt or spiritual dualisms. The flesh is not an obstacle, but a door. Here, divinity is not worshipped. One lives, breathes, and consumes oneself in ecstasy. However, to understand sexual magic, it is not enough to imitate its external gestures. One must grasp its invisible backbone, the energy that moves behind the symbols, the thought that guides the act. Some magic systems use a structure called tetragrammaton, the sacred divine name composed of 4 letters, as a symbolic map of this process. Each letter corresponds to a level of being: will, receptivity, mental form, and manifestation. Sexuality thus becomes a ritual language, capable of pronouncing this name through the experience of pleasure itself. The body acts, but it is the mind that imprints the purpose. Will shapes strength. What is born from this encounter is a living talisman, a sacred act inscribed in matter. Ecstasy is no longer an end, but a beginning, an access point to impact reality, leaving an energetic imprint in the very fabric of the universe. The idea that pleasure can become a form of prayer may seem blasphemous to those who have grown up under the weight of traditions that separate body and spirit. But in Thelemic thought, this division is an illusion to be dissolved. Sexual magic is considered a real and concrete way to manifest the divine will through the union of opposites: masculine and feminine, active and passive, form and content. Each polarity merges into an alchemical unity that transforms the being. In symbolic liturgies, this union is represented not only by the physical act, but by sacred images that preserve its power. The Gnostic Mass, for example, can be read as a codified rite that retraces the 4 worlds of creation, impressing the intent on matter. The final elixir, be it talisman, Eucharist, or condensed energy, becomes the living offering of conscious will, a message that the universe cannot ignore. In the system of Thelema, images are never just metaphors. They are operational tools. Each archetypal figure is a door to a living force. Names, sigils, divinities, and symbols act as catalysts of the inner experience. The often cited divine polarities, such as the active and passive principle, are not simple allegories, but psychic elements to be evoked and unified in the rite. Magical work, in this sense, becomes a process of incarnation, bringing celestial energies into the body and living them. When we speak of divine ecstasy, we are not referring to something distant or ineffable, but to a concrete vibration that can pass through flesh, breath, and blood. Joy is no longer just an emotion, but a sacred function, a signal that the universe is responding. For this reason, ritual sexual union can be read as a cosmic declaration, an act with which the individual realigns himself to the secret rhythm of creation. But one cannot improvise as a practitioner of sexual magic. Like any authentic spiritual discipline, it requires preparation, discipline, and deep self-knowledge. The first requirement is control of the mind. Without mastery of thoughts, any attempt to direct energy fails. It is necessary to cultivate a coherent symbolic system, capable of awakening real emotions and living archetypes. Universal forces, if not embodied internally, remain empty concepts. For this reason, one works with powerful images, deities, sigils, mythical forms. They speak to the unconscious, and if used correctly, they open the way to the union of opposites. It is from this fusion that the true miracle is born. The body becomes a temple. Desire becomes prayer. Every gesture, every whisper, every breath is charged with a subtle intention. Ecstasy, then, is no longer just a private experience. It is a ritual of revelation in which the divine takes shape through the human. During the practice, something unexpected happens. The boundary between pleasure and divinity begins to dissolve. It is no longer a question of using sex for magical purposes, but of recognizing that ecstasy itself is a manifestation of the sacred. The body transforms into a living oracle, capable of channeling cosmic forces. The practitioner begins to perceive desire not as an egoic drive, but as a current that connects him to the entire universe. In this process, inner images light up: the Grail, the beast, the serpent, the goddess. Every symbol vibrates, breathes, acts, and every orgasm becomes a ritual offering, a language through which the divine responds. Thus we enter a new paradigm where sexuality is not separate from spirituality, but is its living flesh. Constant practice reveals a profound secret. God is not an external entity. God is the very fire that burns within when one loves without fear and lives without separation. This transformation is not instantaneous. It requires time, dedication, and a radical willingness to question every conditioning. Many carry within themselves layers of shame, guilt, and repression inherited from centuries of dualistic culture. For this reason, the first step is purification, a process of emotional re-education in which sexuality is redeemed from its moral cage. Meditating on the sun, on the growth of a plant, on the dance of wild animals, all this helps to recognize the generative force as something pure, sacred, alive. Only in this way can one begin to use this force without distortions. Purity is not chastity, but clear presence. It means being able to encounter sexual energy as what it truly is: the creative power of the cosmos, a divine spark that flows through us. Without this foundation, every magical operation risks failure because it is built on internal quicksand. After purification comes consecration, the ability to consciously direct sexual energy toward a specific goal. It is no longer just an experience, it is an offering. Some practitioners choose to dedicate each ecstasy to a divine principle, transforming orgasm into an act of devotion. Offering pleasure to the goddess, to the creative energy of the universe, means letting your inner fire join the cosmic one. This gesture, repeated over time, refines the will, makes the practitioner more lucid, more centered, more present. It is not necessary to have a partner. Even alone, you can consecrate. However, if you work in pairs, the power doubles. Two bodies, two minds, two wills that vibrate in unison can create an energy field capable of deeply affecting reality. At that moment, what is generated is not only pleasure, it is a creative spark, a living fragment of divine will in action. Finally, we reach the third phase, initiation. It is here that everything comes together. Body, mind, symbol, and will converge in a single ritual action. The purified and consecrated energy is channeled towards a precise objective, shaped like a living talisman. When two trained operators unite, the force generated multiplies and is imprinted in the final result, an act that leaves a trace in the subtle worlds. According to ancient visions, even bodily fluids combined in the ritual can become a material vehicle of the will. But it is not only matter, it is embodied spirit. The universe itself seems to respond when the operation is performed with fullness and pure intention. This is magic in the highest sense, not illusionism, but transformation of reality through the sacred act. Initiation is not a goal, but a passage, an open door to a new life, in which ecstasy and will merge in the eternal rhythm of the cosmos. Now, it's your turn. The knowledge shared so far is not abstract theory, but living tools waiting to be put into practice. You can start with simple gestures. Meditate on desire, contemplate the vital force, dedicate ecstasy to a higher principle. Even a single conscious act can open unexpected glimpses. Sexual magic is not a privilege of a few initiates, but a possibility inherent in the human body, ready to awaken. Experiment, explore, rediscover. Every encounter can become a ritual, every pleasure a prayer. If this journey has fascinated you, remember to subscribe to Shadows and Secrets, like, and watch our other videos. Each episode is a step further towards what is not said, but is intuitive. We will continue soon with the second part, where we will go even deeper. Whether you are a practitioner or just curious, what matters is the will to know. That said, thank you and see you next time.